Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching, always encouraging your self-reliance. If you will develop a good work ethic, a marketable skill, go the extra mile, be a team player, you'll be amazed as far as what you'll be able to accomplish as far as your life is concerned. I'm really, really happy to be interviewing a guy I've known for a long time, over 40 years, up there at Hancock Central School. Guy named John Marino, who really lit it up very, very well as a really solid baseball player, phenomenal pitcher, great infielder, great guy. And so, John, tell us your story a little bit.
Well, had a great time in Hancock. I was there after playing baseball for Coach Z, and I think we were one of the first teams that actually went to the States in my senior year as a baseball team. So we're proud of that. But I went on had a baseball scholarship in Alabama. The 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝘄𝘼𝘼 pitching coach had hooked me up, and I went down to Southern Alabama from upstate New York. Started my college career. Little culture shock for me at 7 years old. So it was a great school, but I just wasn't ready, I guess, to stay down there. So I ended up coming back, played at Niagara University 4 years, Division I baseball. I may be the only person from Hancock that's ever played Division baseball. I'm not positive of that, but had 2 or 3 great years there. Had Cubs, Yankees, Expos, all interested. Maybe semi. Had a knee injury my junior year and kind of slowed me down a little bit. And graduated Niagara and went into the newspaper field. I was a sports editor, a writer, and wrote the Buffalo News. And just got kind of homesick, I guess. Came back home and jumped into the gun business with my dad, and now I've run my own business for the last 31 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Marino,
I did coach.
In Marino's, your store there is sporting goods store and gun store and everything is. I mean, it's like a legend there, and one of the key anchors for sure in Hancock. And it's been around. Wasn't it your grandfather that started that store, John?
Yes, we started in 1922 in August, so we are about to have our 100th anniversary next summer.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been there 31 years, and it's still the same family, obviously, and I'm proud to carry on the tradition.
Sure.
And
anything in particular you're going to do for that 100th anniversary?
I have a few ideas, but I'm not quite set in stone yet. Donald Trump Jr. is local. He's in Harvard up by East Branch, and he frequents Hancock quite a bit. I mean, kind of cool to have him maybe. We're thinking about some different things, but I just don't have it set in stone yet of what I'd like to do.
Sure. Well, tell us a little bit about Coach Zawatsky, what he meant to you as far as the life lessons, because he taught all you guys. And he was, I was a great admirer of John from the first time I met him. And anyway, he taught you guys a lot more than just baseball. He taught you a lot as far as life lessons and, being better people, etc. So what can you share with us about Coach Zawatsky?
Well, I mean, we were all baseball players. We all grew up in town, and there were several of us, Pat Bartholomew and some of the local guys that we were born with the ball in our hand, so to speak. So we started out, and as we grew and we got older, we got into, junior high and things like that. Coach Zawatsky was already so well known for his coaching, what he's done for the community and, the person he was. So we were all kind of in awe to be able to get a little older and start playing for a coach. So he was, already fixated on becoming what he would want us to be. So as we got older, we finally, in 10th grade, I was called up to the varsity, and, it's like when you're in a program, and Hancock's always been known for its baseball program, coming up, especially to play for him, was an honor, first of all, but it's, we knew that, we had to uphold that Hancock tradition and, first of all, be there and do the right thing for coach. And that was to work hard. We learned a lot of lessons of, making sure that we were responsible, first of all, for ourselves and doing our job. But second of all, we were part of a team, and coach made sure that we didn't let anyone else down as well.
Mhm.
He worked as hard. His I guess just his his role model, and I even remember watching his son play, and Tom Elwood and all the guys a little bit older than us, Russell Phillips.
Sure.
We knew when we got there, we had a job to do and to be part of that. And Coach was huge in all of our lives without question.
Yeah, yeah. And we'd be remiss if we didn't say something about his wonderful wife, Marie, who was pretty much at every single game, being the scorekeeper and everything
Correct.
like that. What commentary do you have about that incredible lady?
Well, she was the the opposite of Coach. Coach was a little high strung, and he'd let us know if we weren't doing something right. And she was just she was so calm. She'd sit on the bench, very soft spoken. She was at every game, and I think she was his right. There's no question about that. But she was just kind of the complete opposite of Coach. Coach was ready to get us going and motivate us, and he'd let us know when we weren't doing the right thing. But Mrs. Z was just always straight. You always knew what you're gonna get. Easy to talk to, and she was almost like a mother figure to us, without question.
Sure. No, she loved you guys like as if you're her own kids. That's for sure. Absolutely. How about some other guys that you kind of played with, John, that were kind of key instrumental teammates of yours, on those teams back in the early '80s?
Well, easily Mark Skinner, my cousin. He was my catcher. I was a pitcher. Pat Bartholomew. Pat went on, I believe he was a sheriff or something very high end in the law enforcement down in Bradenton, down in Florida. Pat was a great guy. Danny McCann, who we unfortunately lost, one of my best friends. We lost him a few years ago.
That was tough, yeah.
Right, yeah. Kevin Bennett over at first base, left-hander, couldn't get him out. This guy was, Kevin, Neil Emmerich, Billy Gleim, Billy Hall. We're all still close, and we talk a little bit. And although it was, I hate to say it, almost 40 years ago now, it was just a great time. And Arlo Whitaker was part of our team. Butch Jaramusic. I hate to forget anybody because it seemed like so long ago now. Pat Resty, another one. Joe Bannicky, one of our farm boys from over in Pennsylvania, just a rock. I mean, such a good group of guys. And, I think the older we get, the more we reminisce about those times and, how special those times were.
Yeah. A lot of times at that age in school, John, the student athletes don't really realize, kind of the magic you have going, and it really becomes more clear as you get a little bit older and realize, boy, we had a great bunch of guys and we really made some noise there. And one of the things I'm going to ask you to do after we get done here is please reach out to all those guys and ask them to, to view this, because, you did some great shout outs to a lot of your teammates there and everything. So we'll make sure that you, put that out and around to them. Any funny Coach Zawatsky stories? Because I told him that you and I are going to be doing this interview here.
No, I mean, he was usually pretty serious with us. I mean, I have some stories of them. I don't know if they're funny or not. I mean, there's times where we would have study halls, and if we had some rain during the day, we were all so diehard players that he would get us out of study halls to go over and clean the field. We did a lot of the work on the field, the players, to get ready for the games. Coach had his famous, cup checks and stuff like that, where he'd line us up and, make sure that we were all, had on to have on. That was always an interesting thing. Also, you had to wear your hat the right way. If you put your hat on backwards, or if you didn't have hat formed right, he'd let us know that too. So I guess probably the one that sticks out the most is Joe Wood. When I came up in 10th grade, Joe was a year or two older than me, and he was a left-hander, a big boy, and this guy could hit the ball. He'd hit balls into the river. As a left-hander. And, Coach always pitched batting practice, and I can remember Coach pitching to Joe. Joe hits a line drive back, hits Coach right in the chest. Ooh. Coach goes down like a ton of bricks. We thought, and we're like, oh my God, he's dead. We didn't know. He just went down. It's like, I've never seen anything like that. 16-year-old kid, and we got over to him, and It took a few minutes, but we got him up, and I think he laughed a little bit about it. And I'm not sure if he ever threw Joe a fastball down the middle again, but that was an interesting time with Coach. I think he probably will always remember that as well. But yeah, interesting.
And that's before
No
they
doubt.
had those pitching cages where you could kind of duck behind it, you know?
Right.
They didn't have those back
Coach,
then.
he could still throw pretty good. So, we only had 2 or 3 pitchers, so he didn't want to burn us in
Sure.
practice. So he would throw to us. He threw us some different stuff too. He had a little curveball, and I believe he played in the minor league, so he was a pretty good player. And yeah, he just, I'll never forget that sound of that ball hitting him in the chest. It was like just bang, bang, and down he went. And we were a little nervous there for a minute. We're like, standing over him like, Coach, are you okay? Are you okay? It was a little crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I remember talking to now Joe 𝙈𝘖𝘄𝘼𝘄𝘼. He was 5 years behind you, I guess, class of '87. He told a funny story about playing for Coach, where I guess he and some of these guys had kind of these mullets going and everything, which was, Coach Z was pretty strict as far as the the hair and how you looked and everything like that. So
Right.
So he told these guys, well, you're going to have to get a haircut. And, Joe and the other guys who were with him were saying, well, gee, we don't really want to do that, Coach. I might be paraphrasing Joe 𝙈𝘖𝘄𝘼𝑍's line a little bit. And he says, well, that's fine. He says, you don't have to come off the bench either. Well, they all went over and got their haircuts right away, Yeah.
I think I know. I think Michael Kelly might have been one of them. Was a real good pitcher, but I coached Joe and a few of those guys, Vaughn Karcher, in Legion ball a few years later. I was only a few years older than them, but yeah, Michael had a pretty good long hair going there, and some of those guys. So I could see that happening.
Yeah. Michael Kelly was quite a character, and Vaughn, he wrestled for me and everything. I mean, just a great group of guys up there. That's for sure. No question about it. Well, John,
yeah, Vaughn ended up.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Vaughn ended up coaching my Marino's Little League team, because I sponsor a team in Hancock, and he had quite a few years. They did quite well. I have a bunch of baseballs from his 2 boys, and it's just, Hancock is a baseball tradition, and we all carry it with us. Going back from our time, I think, like I'd said, to one of the first teams to go to the States, we actually won B, C, and D that year.
I remember.
We had to win all three sections to move on. But we're so proud of, the kids now and what they've done, and the tradition that Coach actually set up. And then and all the rest of us guys that have played have carried on. I think that's a big thing for Hancock. We all carry that right with us, and we're proud of it.
Absolutely. And well said, John, and you should be. So, hey, any last second things before we kind of conclude it here? This has been wonderful.
No, not really. I mean, I went on and I coached Afton's baseball team for a few years, and I coached Zawatsky. And one of the things that I'm always will be proud of, and Coach might laugh at this, is we had a winning record against Hancock schools, because I inherited a team that didn't have a big program, and but my guys always knew at Afton, anytime we played Coach or Hancock, that was the game we wanted to win. So I love Coach to death, but I'm proud of the fact that I was able to coach my guys to a winning record against the Hancock guys. That was our World Series game.
Sure. No, and it's something to be very proud of. And the truth be told is that nobody be prouder of you than Coach Zawatsky, for sure.
One other thing about Coach as well too is when Coach got to move, he was cleaning out his garage at his house, and he had a bunch of wooden bats that they used from in the 70s before we were allowed to use aluminum, and he brought them over and gave them all to me. I have them all.
Oh, that's really.
And I thought it was very honored. And I was quite honored that Coach would think of me and to bring them over and to give them to me. I still have them in my shop, and Coach and I had talked several times right through the years. He'd stop and see me, and it was always, an honor for me to know that, he.
Yeah. No, he's a super guy. That's for sure, John. Well, thank you so much. Please stick around for a minute here. Okay. And I appreciate everything you had to say here, John. Thank you.
Yes, sir.